So this is a very simple breakdown of the 4-2-3-1 formation. And firstly, before we get started, drop it in the comments below. What do you think of my new setup? I'm still in the very early stages. I'm trying to figure out a few things, but drop it in the comments below. Now, we have to get straight into it. 4-2-3-1 is about having two comfortable ball-playing centre-backs if, I repeat, if you want to control and dictate the game. Very, very important. So if you're a centre-back watching this, how comfortable are you at playing a pass, dropping off, receiving the ball back, stepping forward, playing a bounce pass with your midfielder, getting the ball back, then finding your opposite side centre midfielder, or playing it to your other centre-back, or stepping with the ball and playing these diagonal switches of play? How comfortable are you in doing that? That is the centre-back's role in this formation, and also in all other formations. That right there is a centre-back's responsibility regardless of the system that they play in. And I cannot stress enough how important these two players are right here. The double pivot partnership. These two can make or break the system. That's how important they are. So for example, if the centre-back has the ball here, where is this player going? Are they running to the ball, screaming, crying for the ball? Or are they saying, hang on a minute, I'm going to be smart to use my brain, move away from the ball and get my other midfielder to move towards the ball. And what that does is create a diamond. And with that diamond, with an extension, which is the winger, there are multiple options to play. There are multiple passing lanes. And it's about utilising that and then switching the play. Creating an overload, then switching the play. Where there's a 2v1. The left back and the left winger, or the right back or the right winger, whichever side you're on. The fullback and the winger creating a 2v1 on the opposition fullback, drawing the opposition in through quick passes, finding an opportunity to switch the play, and in the duration of that switch, as that ball goes here, this is where the fullback has arrived, and now there's a 2v1. So for example here, the centre-back could play the fullback could play back to the centre-back. Then there's an opportunity for this centre midfielder here to receive the ball, which pushes the fullback higher and allows the winger to play slightly on the inside. As this centre midfielder receives the ball and they look up to try and play a pass, it could be that once again the fullback gets the ball. We are playing very realistic and patient football here. So when the fullback gets the ball, the fullback drives, turns back. Potentially there could be a pass into the winger who plays back to this player, and then that's when the opposition have shuffled across to this side of the pitch. That's when this is our free player. If this centre midfielder can receive the ball, 2 touches, play, in the duration of that. So in the duration of this is what's happening. Bang. That is a 2v1. The fullback is arriving at the right time to create problems on this fullback. There's a 2v1 here. Can you utilise that advantage and create a final third product? So it could be a pass into your fullback who cuts it back in, or a cross, an early cross into the box, or this winger drives in and makes things happen. So as we just explained, this centre midfielder moves away to drag this player away, opening up space. This one moves towards, but not too close. Very important that this centre midfielder stays in between the number 10 and the striker, sort of operating behind that line, because sometimes the centre-back would be able to play this pass if this number 10 is not too close to the centre defensive midfielder, and then this centre defensive midfielder could play a pass into the winger who's drifted in, and then if this fullback has followed, there's the fullback that can receive the ball, and then there's a 2v1. So that's why it's very important for this player to receive the ball slightly behind that line. With this winger playing on the inside and this fullback stepping, it could be a pass into the fullback. Can the pass be ahead of this winger? And then the fullback turns, finds the centre midfielder, and by that time, opposition would have shuffled across. So that's the picture. Then it's about finding this centre defensive midfielder with 2 touches if they can switch the play. As we said, in the duration of that, you have the fullback and the winger creating a 2v1 on the opposition fullback. As they try and shuffle across quickly, there are multiple options here. Can it be a pass here for an early cross into the box, or can you switch the play again very quickly? So multiple switches of play, one switch and then another switch and then a cross into the box. So from here, for example, you have this winger playing on the inside, this fullback being very aggressive. It could be a pass into the number 10 who can quickly turn and slide a pass into the fullback. It could be a pass into the winger who could play the fullback, or once again you attack down this side. Why not? But it's very important that this structure is set. There's a solid rest defense structure here. Because if you do lose the ball, you do not want to get caught in transition. So perhaps, depending on the team's tactics and the player profiles, the far side fullback stays conservative, central centre-back, left-sided centre-back, and then the two midfielders who we said were very important to the system have to sit. So now it's a 3-2 rest defence structure. With this midfielder being close to the ball here because they could always receive, and this one always being that option to limit transition. So for example, let's just shuffle them across. So let's say here something happens and the fullback tries to dribble this fullback, gets tackled, and now there's an opportunity for a counter-attack. Obviously the closest person should go to the ball and it should be very aggressive here. But this is where that centre midfielder that we spoke about has to be aggressive, because if they are conservative and they're just marking space, it could be these types of passes that can create problems. So you must be close, you must be locked on just like this to limit the transition, because now even if they play a pass down the line, you have this player who's spare, and also you, if you're the centre midfielder, you're aggressively affecting this player. So even if they do control the ball here and try and turn, you're right there. You're stopping them from attacking your goal. If you can tackle, play the free centre-back, as we just said, play the free player, and then you can start another attack. That's why these two players are extremely important to this system. And that, for example, is one way of building up. There are multiple ways, which I go through in my full formations guide, which is in the link in my profile. Now we're going to look at the role of the winger, the number 10, the striker, and the other winger as well. We're looking at the front four and how they can really be effective. So it's about making unpredictable movements and creating overloads. So this is where the number 10 and the winger can work together when the ball, let's say, is with the fullback. So in these scenarios where their winger is pressing the fullback and their fullback is closely marking the winger, there's always a gap for this number 10 to drop in and receive the ball in that wide space, in the gap between the fullback and the winger. So let's say the centre midfielder here plays the fullback goes back to the centre back, their striker is doing a good job of blocking the switch, their opposite winger has shuffled across. So basically you're playing against a very well organised defence. Now, this is where this number 10 takes the initiative, takes the proactivity mindset and says, you know what, I am going to go here. Because now, if this player follows this number 10 all the way here, well, this is where the winger can operate in that pocket of space to receive the ball on the half turn and now drive at the defence. Or for example, if this centre midfielder decides to stay and lock up their central space, which is most likely the case, because I don't really see many centre midfielders drifting out to this wide space and leaving this much space for the striker to drop in, for example, or as we said, the winger to drop in, or this centre midfielder to really push on and create space, etc, etc. So most likely it would be the situation where this centre midfielder stays, this number 10 moves out here. So this is where, if the fullback receives the ball, when the winger presses the fullback, it's a simple pass into here. So the number 10 and the winger have now created 2v1 on the opposition fullback. Yes, you could argue it could be a 2v2, but this is where this centre midfielder can get involved, receive the ball, switch the play as the opposition would have shuffled across, switch, and once again, we have the 2v1, the fullback and the winger on the opposition fullback. And that starts from that number 10, from that winger working together, those little movements where if the fullback has the ball, it's very important that the timing is there as well. So when the fullback gets it, as that ball is getting passed to the fullback, that's when it happens. Not too early, not too late. Because if it's too early, and for example, the ball's here and this number 10 has gone out here, the opposition have time to rearrange their structure. The fullback could mark the number 10, this centre-back who is spare could shuffle across, and they could temporarily go into a back three, no problem. So the timing is very important. Very important that, I've said important how many times in this video, when the pass goes out to the fullback, that's when that happens. Not too early, not too late, because as that happens, doesn't give time for the opposition to adjust their shape, and then it could either be you attack down this side, utilising this 2v1, with your striker making runs in behind, with your winger making runs in behind, or you can get your centre midfielder involved who can switch the play. If the switch isn't on straight away, you can switch to the far side centre back who can play to the full back. So there's always a way to switch, whether that's through the centre back or a direct switch of play, but the whole aim is to get the full back advanced with the far side fullback tucking across, the right sided centre back becoming the central centre back, and the left sided centre back staying here to have that back three, the two centre midfielders, and then you're attacking with a very dangerous front five. The number 10, the striker, the winger, the fullback, and the far side winger as well. So you're creating a potential 5v4 situation as they're retreating, so there are opportunities for these very dangerous early crosses, for these types of passes for the winger to receive, or the winger could overlap. From here, it's down to the player's decision making in the final third in that given moment. It could also be a case where the fullback drives with the ball, this winger stays on the edge of the box. As the winger receives it, this number 10 is making a very dangerous run in between the far side centre-back and fullback into that space here, and then it could be a cutback or flash across goal for the striker to score, and then everyone celebrates in the corner. If you watch my Instagram and TikTok videos, I emphasize the celebration in the corner flag when there's a goal. But yeah, that is it for in possession of the 4-2-3-1. And by the way, as I said earlier on, this is a simple breakdown. I go into much more detail in my full formations guide, which is in the link in my profile, where I break down every single formation in possession, out of possession, and during transition. Now we're going to go to out of possession. And out of possession, it's about staying very compact in that 4-2-3-1 shape, or a 4-4-1-1, 4-4-2 shape even, and letting the play go wide, and then everyone shuffling across and pressing accordingly. So for example, if the opposition are playing a 4-3-3, it's a 3v3 in the central area, it's a 4v3 in the red team's favour, and a 4v3 in the blue team's favour in their build-up phase, or in their settled play build-up, which is when the centre-backs have pushed up the pitch and now they're looking at finding passes in between the lines to ultimately score goals. So here, for example, the wingers stay inside to block off the pass into that pocket of space. So even if the winger wants to tuck in and receive the ball in that square, the red team's winger is there to block off that pass. So the aim is to let the pass go out to the fullback. The striker is doing a good job of blocking the pass from centre-back to centre-back. So as the pass goes there, with this striker pressing and making play predictable, as the pass goes there, this winger locks on to the ball, presses the ball. This fullback is now focused on this winger. This centre-back might be pinned by the striker, so this centre-back is spare, with this fullback tucking across. So with one centre-back spare, they are the ones that can deal with these balls in behind. Or for example, if they try and switch the play, this is the centre-back that can be very aggressive to those second balls in the central area as well. Because it's a 3v3 in the middle, if this centre-back can be aggressive and step at times to win the ball, in moments where, let's say, the centre-back tries to play a pass here and it's almost like a 3v3, this centre-back is spare, be brave, win the ball, win the second ball, and now your team can create a counter-attacking opportunity. So very important that if one centre-back is spare, they're the one being aggressive and trying to win duels in that central space. So as the ball is here and this winger is pressing, if they try and play the pass out to the winger here, this winger is now supporting and letting the pass go back to the fullback. It doesn't just stay here, because if this winger's good at spinning a player or driving inside and play these incisive passes, that can create problems. So as soon as the pass goes out to the winger, for example, this winger is now here to really let the play go back. And when the play goes back, that is a trigger for an even more aggressive press, where this player really goes to the ball. Now it's about forcing them back. And as the blue team have pushed up the pitch, it's important that the striker is within that block to let the pass go back here, not here. Because if that happens, look at this. It's a 1-2-3, 1-2. It's a 3v2 situation here. So it's extremely important. Okay, I was trying to look for a word and I ended up saying important again. Imperative, crucial. Let's go with crucial. So it's extremely crucial that this striker blocks off that switch. So then this centre-back receives the ball, and then this striker starts off that press again by blocking the switch from centre-back to centre-back. I will repeat this again. When this fullback has the ball, this striker should not be here, because this centre-back can receive the ball and there's an overload. What must happen is, when this fullback has the ball, after they've been forced back and the red team are now looking to push up the pitch, very, very crucial, there I said it, very crucial that this striker is here to make sure the pass goes to the centre-back, and then the striker does that same press again to keep them locked onto this side of the pitch. Because look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a 6v6, but then we said that this centre-back is spare, so you could argue it's a 7v6 in the red team's favour. So that's where there is an opportunity to win the ball and then start an attack. And it's very difficult to play through this, by the way, if everyone's locked on, aggressive to their player, having the right triggers by staying compact, letting the play go out wide. As I said, when the play goes here and they progress and they go back, this striker gets in to stop that pass, to let this pass happen, and then the press starts again. As Johan Cruyff said, it starts from the striker. The striker is the first defender, and that little movement there, when the play goes back and the striker drops in, is extremely crucial. Not important. It is important, but it's also crucial. Letting the pass go there, let them step, and then start another press. If they're going to go long, and you can tell from their body shape, this centre-back can drop. With this striker there, as we said, the centre-back is spare. Can the red centre midfielders start running backwards to try and win the ball here? So as that pass goes in, rotate the body so you're facing the ball now. So then if this striker wins the ball or not, it will drop around here, win the second ball, play to the spare centre-back, and then look at this space. There's a counter-attacking opportunity right here. If the distribution of this centre-back is good enough to play the pass in the behind, and now make it count in the final third. So that's a very effective way of turning defence into attack in that 4-2-3-1 defensive block. And now, as I just said earlier on, I go into more detail than this in my full formations guide on every single position in the beautiful game. So this is one phase of play in out of possession. There's a pressing structure that you can implement in their build-up phase. When you're defending deep in your own half, there are other principles. So I go through all of that in my full formations guide. Now, as I said earlier on, drop in the comments below what you think of this new setup and what are your thoughts on the 4-2-3-1. Is it the best formation in football? Is it? I don't know. I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. But until next time, as always, this is only the beginning, by the way. I'm trying to figure out a few things with my setup, but everything will fall into place very, very soon. But until next time, as always, stay healthy, stay blessed, and peace!